Welcome to basically the groundwork being laid for Ryzeal meta. You guys smash the link, grab out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oscar. Yes, I know that there's a new ban list that literally takes place today, but I still want to talk about the breakdown for this, and I still wanted to look at the Ryzeal list, and I still want to just go, hey, we need to be aware of what's going on with these developments so you can actually understand what's going on. So, you had 10 Ryzeal builds in your top cut. Now, in combination with these, we also had 4 Fiendsmith versions, rounding it out to 14 Ryzeal combination decks out here. Now, I am going to keep Fiendsmith Ryzeal decks separate from pure Ryzeal decks. I do think that they are different creatures in the way that they interact, because pure Ryzeal obviously kind of feels like the better deck in my personal opinion, but I do want to point that out here, that it is very important to actually understand that. Now, we did have 7 Malice decks actually making their way into the top cut out here. You had 6 combination Malice decks that were the what you would consider the regular version, and then you had this Bystial Malice list I'm tossing up in here because honestly they're still kind of the same thing. Obviously, you know, you're using more of the power of the Bystial cards that I would assume get the Lubellion on the field, get the Branded Regained up, to get some of that more raw advantage so you can actually continue to play the game. I think that's a very important thing to note out here. Now, we also had 4 Fiendsmith decks that were pure. Obviously, if you want to be completely honest with you, in terms of your Fiendsmith decks, it looks like we had 11 in total playing this engine, which was 4 Fiendsmith pure, of course, 4 Ryzeal, and then 2 copies of Yubel with the Asamina Snake Eyes Fiendsmith deck. Speaking of Snake Eyes, that engine really fell off. Like, it was not doing good this weekend at all. And then, of course, Yubel, even though Yubel is losing Phantom, they're getting back to opening of the Spirit Gates. I think that deck still kind of sits at the apex of the meta, and it's probably going to be kind of the line between Rogue and all these other challengers. 2 Tenpai Duelist doesn't matter anymore because Chandra and Sengen Kaiman, goodbye. Nobody wanted to see that deck stick around. It stole so many games for no reason whatsoever. Like, that's so crazy. And then, of course, we had 1 Memento Duelist, kind of actually surprising everybody out here by being that rogue contender, actually showing up and doing well, which I love to see that. And then we also had Voiceless Voice making a grand appearance out here as well. So this is your top 32. As you all know, Triff was the champion, showing off the power of Fiendsmith Ryzeal, which was very nice to see. And of course, Tenpai technically had one last run before it goes bye-bye. Let's pass on over those deck lists. So starting things off here, we have our first Ryzeal list. Yeah, this is going to be a very recurring theme that we're about to have to endure for the next 3 months. So I hope you guys are ready for this, because by the end of December, we're just going to be checking out of seeing all these Ryzeal lists. But I think the cool thing about this list was they were actually choosing to play the 1 copy of the Droll and Lockbird as the cross-out target in the main deck. I actually kind of wanted to do something similar to this, but also no Ghost Ogre in here. I do like Ghost Ogre a lot this format. I've been very, you know, upfront about that. Also, this build did choose to play the Plasma Hole in the side deck, which is fine. You also do see the Donner Dagger for hire since they are playing the Nibiru. This gives you the ability to kind of clear up the Nibiru token for essentially free, which is kind of important. You also do see that we are doing the Starleash Photon Blast Dragon down here as that little protection piece so you can do the thing. And then, of course, the Dugaras the Timeless gives you an OTK line to kind of close your opponent out of the game. That's very important to think about, especially with the Utopic Full Rate Lancer out here, which is just, you know, punt a spell card out of your hand. Congratulations. You can now end the game because, guess what? You get a second attack as long as we get over a monster, which is actually pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, you do see full value and tack talents out here. I do expect, you know, since we are kind of in a new ban list out here, there might be some subtle changes that come with this, but Tack Talents is going to be an extremely good card this format. This is just one of those cards you're just going to be like, oh, okay. All right, so we have our first Malice list. Now, this Malice list is so much more different than what I was kind of initially expecting out here. I knew that people were going to test out Kashtira cards because Kashtira cards are just everywhere, right? Like, everything gets to play Kashtira at this point. So, of course, you know, Unicorn's like the thing that they were choosing to go with as their strong base boss monster, because ripping cards out of your opponent's extra deck is always going to be good. But you also do see in here that we are playing things like Fenrir as well. Now, this build also was playing a Book of Eclipse, so you can get that flip down option to punish your opponent. But you also got the chance to see Forbidden Chalice actually seeing some play. This is not the first time I have seen Chalice in this format, but the fact that we are so much back on what Zoo format used to be, that somebody is just bringing in the Chalice and they're like, hey, you know, I don't have to worry about the Dreadnator punishing me. You know, we just activate Chalice. Yeah, sure, we give it 400 more attack points. Whoop-de-doo, but now I no longer have to worry about my field getting smashed in. So now as a Malice player, the only real thing you have to worry about is the cross resolving, or, you know, maybe a couple hand traps along the way, but that's going to be the easiest thing for you to deal with. Then, of course, you do see Impulse actually being sighted down here. And then, of course, triple copies of Lancia and one Sanctum, and, of course, some Thrust to find you that nice little Lancia to punish your opponent. This is by far one of the best decked out Malice decks I have seen so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Malice is going to develop out here in the future. Now, we also have this incredibly cool deck. Actually seeing Voiceless Voice enter into the arena out here and actually do well. I love this, actually. I think that this is by far one of the coolest things that you could have actually hoped for out here. You do see that we are choosing to play one copy of Saravis, which is fine. All right, like, 2 Saravis was the go-to so long ago, but you're not getting that crazy level of advantage that you used to be with needing to play 2 of these. I will say, though, it feels like you should be playing 2 of these right now, because how many hand traps do we have running around? I guess the trade-off is hand traps right now are more, you know, not targeting. Obviously, Effect Veiler is probably one of the bigger ones to be targeting, but, you know, you have to get hit by that Veiler in the first place. You also do see the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph returning back down here to the side deck. And then, oh, hey, we have some cute little side deck options down here. Since we are doing the Nadir Servant package, we can actually kind of optimize our playing experience for some of those little cuter interactions. You know, obviously, hi, Maximus. We've seen Maximus. He shows up, you know, he wants to get a search. He wants to get us a draw power off of, you know, Garua. Honestly, turning this card into some crazy, stupid value always is going to feel incredibly nice. But you got to remember, you're still choosing to play Voiceless. You're still going to have a couple of issues in the course of the meta that might not necessarily work out for you. But it was good enough to make top 32, which is good. Okay. Ooh. We have more Ryzeal for you. The challenger of the meta, as per usual out here. I'm just kidding. This is the new meta. You also do see we are playing one copy of the Tack Talents in the main. You do see we have the one Ghost Ogre over here. And then, of course, this build is actually choosing to play the one Droll Knockbird, which is fine. Once again, I think across the board, the one of was absolutely correct. All right, you have your cross-out target. You have everything taken care of that you really need to. And I think that's fine. Then there's this. We actually have Mischief of the Gnomes down here. So this turn, reduce the level of all monsters in each player's hands by 1, even after they are summoned or set. And then we can banish this card from the graveyard. This turn, reduce levels of all monsters in each player's hands by 1, even after they are summoned or set. Now, you can actually apply both of these effects in the same turn, which is freaking hilarious out here. That we've reached a point out here that already you want to be forcing your opponent's monsters into chaos by having their levels not line up with the appropriate things. Now, because you're going to get locked into rank 4s and things like that, obviously my rank 4 monsters not having the appropriate levels to make that, you know, very, very vital Exceed Summon is just very, very hilarious. So this actually kind of feels like a better dimensional barrier, which, you know, maybe the D-barriers would have been better overall. But hey, that's one of the lines that people chose to play. And then, of course, we have another Malice list. Now, this is probably your more standard Malice list. You do see we are playing the Code of the Soul in here. This is going to be the big extender out here. I do like this. This build also chose to play triple copies of the Allure of Darkness. I also see that this build chose to go with the triple Chessie Cat as well. Now, this build also loaded up on some Dominus Impulses, which, as much as this card doesn't really feel like it's that good right now, you are going to get a lot of your bases covered with this. I also see, hey, We have the pack bit if we actually need to throw this at our opponent and, you know, crystallize a threat. Because you've already got the Meteor Logic built into this, and of course the D-Save Worm. This big firewall is going to be your boss monster, but there's also this guy right here. The Nightmare Griffin is your walking, talking floodgate. Remember, some monsters on the field cannot activate their effects unless they are linked. That's not they can't pay the cost. They can't do anything with this. That's why Nightmare Griffin is such an incredibly strong card. You know, we don't have Appaloosa, things like that, but you can just slow down the pace of the game simply by having this card do its thing. Outside of that, this YCS was pretty cool to see. Obviously, you know, a couple competitors are no longer going to be viable after today's, you know, ban list shift, but I think that's fine. This gives you an idea of where Malice is kind of looking to go and how, you know, the meta is going to work for these decks. So please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.